Hello there and a very good evening. You're watching Primetime News on TV1. For the News First team, I'm Dasani Athada. Let's start off with a look at tonight's headlines.
Port Authority confirms an envisaged memorandum of cooperation between Sri Lanka, Japan and India to develop the east terminal of the Colombo port. Signs of the third phase of the project being withdrawn from the Japanese company. 45 complaints filed against the controversial doctor of the Kurunagal hospital. Vallampettiya copper factory workers ordered to appear before the TID.
News First reported of a joint venture project undertaken by Sri Lanka, Japan and China to develop the east terminal of the Colombo port. The Port Authority issued a communique regarding this.
It becomes evident through the media release sent out by the Sri Lanka Ports Authority that there is an envisaged memorandum of the cooperation between Sri Lanka, Japan and India regarding the east terminal of the Sri Lanka port. SLPA believes the envisaged new partnership will help the port of Colombo to continue growth and further improve its position. The release further states SLPA retains 100% ownership of East Container Terminal. It adds that the terminal operations company conducting all East Container Terminal operations is jointly owned. Sri Lanka retains a 51% stake and joint venture partnership purchase a 49% stake. It further says the envisaged Japanese loan carries one of the best loan terms Sri Lanka has obtained. However, given that the loan terms are awaiting formalization, it would be premature for SLPA to comment. It concludes by saying the global cargo trade is an extremely competitive, fast-paced, rapidly evolving industry that requires ports to be timely in their capacity expansion, execution and service levels. The envisaged MOC is a significant step in ensuring Colombo Port delivers on these goals in an agile manner.
We now cross over to Chaturanga Hapuarachi, who has more on this story. Chatu?
Yes, Dasuni, now we have to lay the foundation to the story that we just saw. We saw of a memorandum of cooperation, or in fact, the Sri Lanka Ports Authority had sent out a media release confirming of a memorandum of cooperation between international community and Sri Lanka, again with regard to the East Terminal. Now this is the same terminal that President Maithripala Sirisena in the recent past said that will not be given to a foreign country as well. Now we have to look at this particular media release that has been sent out. If you go through the complete media release, it clearly mentions that there were several media reports on this subject, and that is why this particular media release is sent out. Now here we have to remember and remind to our general public that this news item, the source of this news item was from a Japanese news outlet, and Reuters too had reported on this particular joint venture carried out between India, Japan and Sri Lanka with regard to the East Container Terminal or the Sri Lanka port. Now, if not for this Japanese and Reuters media reports, the general public of Sri Lanka will not be aware of such a memorandum of cooperation. It is only after this matter was raised by international media, then by Sri Lankan media, did the Sri Lanka Ports Authority take steps to come forward and make those details available to the general public. Now let's go back to the past a bit. We remember how the Hambantota port deal took place. We remember how a proposal was put forward by a former Minister of Ports and Shipping, Arjuna Ranatunga, to break this down into 51%, 49% share ownership. But what happened? What happened was that the minister was changed, a new minister was put in, Mahinda Samarasinga was put in as the minister, and the complete port was given out to China. Now, we also have to look at what has been happening. There is no point in scolding the media after not revealing these information to the general public of Sri Lanka. If, as what the Sri Lanka Ports Authority in their media release says, this is being carried out under very good circumstances, the loan agreements are very good on the side of Sri Lanka, why would Japan, a country that is a part of this memorandum of cooperation, come forward and make an expose or reveal these details to the public? Now that is also a question that we have to raise. From time to time, politicians take various decisions that are sometimes taking into consideration their petty political agendas. Sometimes some would use the word shameful as well. In this backdrop, the officials who are placed in all of these high places make the decisions, put their signature, in other words, put their neck out. But when things go wrong, it is those officials who will be held accountable and not the politicians. We have examples like that in the past in our country. We remember what happened to Lalit Veeratunga. Even in the bond scam case, we remember what happened to Arjuna Mahendran, and we know the whole country points a finger at one person, and Arjuna Mahendran, the former governor of the central bank, is evading the long arm of the law. Now, with all of this happening in the country, we have to remember that people have been placed at various places. We remember Prime Minister Advisor Charitha Ratwa's brother Surendra Ratwata being placed at the Sri Lankan Airlines. We remember how things worked there as well. We remember the losses. We remember the numbers. Now here in this particular case, Mr. Kavan Ratnayaka, some would call him an honorable man. However, he is the brother of Minister Sagala Ratnayaka. So we are here questioning as to how these things will progress. We are coming to a situation where certain matters that we have reported even in the past are being confirmed to us now. We reported to you last week about such an incident as well. Today, we have another special story coming up, a revelation again with regard to phase 3, as you saw in the headlines, of the Central Expressway. Let's have a look at that as well.
According to sources, the Cabinet of Ministers is preparing to withdraw the contract from the Japanese Taisei company as a result of delays in constructing an interchange for the Phase 3 of the project. A spokesperson of the Ministry of Highways said that even though the project will be withdrawn, since there was no agreement, a payment will not have to be made. Taisei has informed the Sri Lankan government that if the construction activities of the interchange is not handed over to the company, it cannot also carry out the contract pertaining to the expressway. Phase 3 of the Central Expressway is being carried out using money obtained at high interest rates and a number of conditions from the Tokyo Mitsubishi Bank. The value of the loan is $1 billion. The distance of the project from Potuhera to Galagedara is 32 kilometers.
Yes, good evening. From family bandism and some form of nepotism, on this story, it's all about departures from due process. If you remember, some time ago, Newsfirst reported on the astonishing events that was taking place about the Central Expressway's Section 3 project, where Lakshman Kiriella, as the minister, was having meetings with potential bidders on the project, two companies, Taisei, and then he got them all together and he formed or tried to form a consortium between Taisei and Fujita. And it was Newsfirst, of course, that broke the news of these astonishing departures from due process. And of course, we were also greeted with the information that there was a very high insurance premium amounting to 10.04% of the total, around 104 million, pushing the total loan, potential loan for that, to $1 billion. And this appears now to have all been cancelled, or is on its way to being cancelled, because we have some information to suggest that the Japanese are unhappy with the various happenings that have been taking place. And of course, Newsfirst is not surprised, because there has been, and we've always crowed on about it, that there has been a complete departure from due process. There are processes in place, but nobody has bothered to apply it. And it was left to the president, of all people, to bring to the notice of his cabinet that there was, in fact, a company called Taisei, and that there was some question marks about it. And it was the president who ordered a news conference to be held along in front of the media. And this is the conference that Lakshman Kiriella very famously walked out, or shall we say very infamously. And that is what is happening in terms of national procurement from a government that promised us good governance and an equitable playing field for everybody. On that note, I'm going to be handing it back to Dasani and to carry on with the news.
Thank you, Faraz. Now, Minister of Health Rajitha Senaratne convened a media briefing today at the Temple Trees. Journalists questioned him about the allegations levelled against Minister Rishad Badiuddin and about the controversial Kurunegala doctor.
We have appointed a select committee to look into this. We have requested the Parliamentary Select Committee to be open for the public. I think the Speaker will open it for the media. Therefore, everything that happens here will be transparent and open to the public with evidence. The Select Committee will carry out an investigation on Rishad Badiuddin as well. No confidence motions are political strategies.
ඊට පස්සේ හමුදාපතිතුමාම කිව්වනේ ඒක මේ එකක් බලපෑමක් නෙවෙයි ඉල්ලීමක් කරේ කියලා. ඔව් ඉතින් දැන් අපිට
Do I not talk when my party members get arrested? How can I move on to the next election without speaking on behalf of them? I can talk. There will be a problem only if I try to do something forcefully. Who paid off Zaran? It was the previous regime. It was Gotabaya Rajapaksa.
ගෝඨාභය රාජපක්ෂ. හා? යාන්ඩුවෙන්. යාන්ඩුවෙන් ඉතින් මේ ආරක්ෂක ලේකම් වක් කියන්න ඕනේ.
Not only Zaharan, 26 individuals have been paid off, 26 members of the Tawheed Jamaat. I presented it that day. I don't have to present it again. It was the same account. These people are behind the inception of all these extremist groups.
කවුරුවක්වත් ස්ථාන මාරු කරන්න නෙවෙයි ඒක ලේකම්තුමේ කරයි. ඒකටනේ ලේකම්වරු ඉන්නේ මම ඕනේ නැහැ නේ ඕවා කරන්න විනය පරීක්ෂණ. ඔව් තමාර කට්ටියට හිත සන්තෝෂ වුණා. තමුන්නාසේ වගේ කට්ටිය. නැත්නම් මොකද?
Why not? If the same fate fell upon a Sinhalese doctor, you won't be bothered to this extent. Some people are bothered because this happened to a Muslim doctor. Yes, you can see the test results of those crying mothers. Please don't panic. There are tests for that.
ඒකට තියෙන ටෙස්ට් හොඳේ. ඒකට විමර්ශනය කරනවා. ඒක කරන්නේ ඕගොල්ලෝ නෙවෙයි. අන්න ඒක මතක තියාගන්න.
Now, despite such remarks made by the minister, officials of the Kurunegala hospital say that the apprehended doctor named Shafi Shihabdeen Muhammad Shafi has so far received more than 45 complaints against him.
Dr. Shafi Shihabdeen was arrested on the 24th of this month following a covert police operation. While police had received information regarding the value of his assets, which were estimated at more than 400 million rupees, the suspect was arrested with the intention of being interrogated over the manner in which he amassed his wealth and whether there were any links to people involved with extremism or terrorism. Police had discovered 17 land deeds under the name of the apprehended doctor. Police stated that the properties were located in areas surrounding Kurunegala. Meanwhile, the police had received several complaints over the apprehended doctor's misconduct.
2010 අගෝස්තු 29 තමයි සිසේරියන් සත්කම කරේ. එදායින් පස්සේ මට බබාලා නැහැ. S2 පේන්නෙත් නැහැ දැනට.
2012 9යි 7 වෙනිදා තමයි කරේ. මේ වෙනකල් බබාලා නැහැ. පළවෙනි බබාත් කොහොම හරි නැති වුණා. දැන් අවුරුදු 8ක් වෙනවා. මේ තවම බබාලා නැහැ. මේ බබා විතරයි ගත්තේ මගේ වෙදාම ඇතුළට දාලා වහා මහලා තිබුණේ. දවස් 4කට පස්සේ වෙදාම එළියට ගත්තේ. මට ළමයි නැතුව අවුරුදු 8ක් හිටියා. බබාලා නැතුව ඊට පස්සේ මට බබා සීස කළා ගත්තේ. සීස කළා ගන්නකොට මගේ මූත්‍රාශය කැපුණා. හසුතාවේ නිසා මගේ බබා වර්ධනෙමුත් අඩු වෙලා තියෙනවා. මාව සීස කරයි. ડોක්ටර් සාපි ඉදිරියට මගේ සාල්ටි කර්ම මොනවා කරලාද තියෙන්නේ කියලා මම දන්නේ නැහැ. ඒක මට චෙක් කරගන්න ඕන.
We have witnessed during the past few days that there are several forces trying to influence the health ministry. On behalf of all trade unions and the 28 GMOA branches, we make this very clear. If anyone tries to influence the ongoing investigations, we will take the maximum possible action.
Meanwhile, MP Venerable Athuraliye Ratanathero visited the hospital premises today.
He had contested in the Kurunegala district under Rishad Badiuddin's party. You must resign from state services if you are contesting an election. However, following the elections, Minister Rishad Badiuddin had submitted a cabinet paper and violated that procedure. He was re-employed. That is illegal. Though it's not surprising that something like this was done through a cabinet paper in our country, we must question as to whether it was the right method followed. Therefore, we expect the Ministry of Health to provide an explanation in this regard. We have received information that Minister Rajitha Senaratne is directly involved in this matter. The GMOA believes that an independent investigation must be conducted in this regard.
Meanwhile, former Health Minister of the Northwestern Province, Sandhya Rajapaksa, submitted a claim to the Bribery Commission today.
Prior to contesting any elections, a state employee must hand over his letter of resignation 10 days before. This letter of resignation is equal to a letter of retirement. Accordingly, a retired state employee can never rejoin the state service. He resigned from his position as doctor in order to contest elections. However, upon the request of Minister Rishad Badiuddin, the cabinet approved his reappointment. Everyone is equal before the law. The law clearly states that if executive officers of state services resign to contest at elections, and if they lose, they cannot return to their previous position. The entire cabinet is to blame for this.
UPFA parliamentarian Thilanga Sumathipala has moved a private member's motion in Parliament to convert the controversial Batticaloa campus into a state defence university.
General Secretary of the Parliament, Dhammika Dasanayake, confirmed this to Newsfirst. The private member's motion notes that it is a national requirement to pay attention to the Batticaloa Campus Private Limited and provide a solution to it. MP Sumathipala says steps should be taken to establish confidence among the public with regard to national security and to ensure that such situations will not arise in the country in the future. The parliamentarian notes that the Batticaloa Campus Private Limited should be taken under the Defence Ministry and be converted into a defence university as a measure to protect the country from the minor groups who hold extremist ideologies.
Court ordered that Karupaya Rajendran alias Abdullah, a worker who was attached to the Velampitia copper factory, be remanded until the 10th of June.
The Terrorist Investigation Division informed courts that the investigations commenced under the orders of the acting IGP. The TID further noted information has been revealed that Karupaya Rajendran, alias Abdullah, has aided the terrorist activities of the National Tawheed Jamaat organization. It further informed the court the requirement of obtaining statements from the rest of the workers, as information is being revealed of their involvement as well. Accordingly, Colombo Additional Magistrate Priyantha Liyanage ordered the 9 suspects who were out on bail to provide statements to the TID till the 1st of next month from today. The magistrate ordered the suspects to appear before the court on the 10th of next month. The TID noted facts will be produced before the court after obtaining statements from the suspects.
The brother of the suspect arrested in connection to the 13 hand grenades found in a school in Baduralia has also been arrested with gunpowder.
The person who was arrested in connection to placing hand grenades in a school in the Badurali area has been handed over to the Colombo Crimes Division and the investigations are ongoing. In a search operation that was carried out in the area, the brother of the suspect, Pavitra Pushpakumara, has been arrested. He had in his possession 972 grams of gunpowder. He was produced before the Matugama magistrate and has been remanded until the 31st of May.
Commander of the Sri Lanka Army Lieutenant General Mahesh Senanayake expressed the following views addressing the people's leader's role in a national crisis.
We should keep in our minds that this is my country, this is your country, this is our country, and we should safeguard this country for our children. Our children should not become victims of our mistakes and choices we make today. Are we allowing anyone to destroy our nation? It's a matter of choice that all citizens should think about during this challenging time. National security and national economy are core areas that we need to pay our attention and to drive our nation forward while progressively engaging with other subsidiary areas. As members of the armed forces, we believe that national security is our lifeblood. Therefore, I strongly believe that to preserve the democracy and other core values, you need to have a strong armed force to make the environment is free from threats.
President Maithripala Sirisena met with several foreign envoys today at his official residence. The President met with several members of the diplomatic community, including the High Commissioners and Ambassadors of the UK, the US, Japan, Canada, Germany, Australia and the European Union. According to the President's media division, President Sirisena had briefed the foreign envoys of the successful operations carried out against the terror attacks. The media division adds the envoys of foreign countries were unanimous in expressing their fullest support to President Sirisena to curb terrorism in Sri Lanka and assured that the travel advisories would be reviewed as soon as possible. It adds that the President expressed his confidence that the state of emergency could be lifted at the end of the one-month period. According to the media division, President Sirisena said that in order to ensure non-recurrence of such terror attacks in the future, new regulations are being enacted and new institutions will be set up under the restructuring of security services. Here are several statements made regarding presidential candidates.
In the near future, Mahinda Rajapaksa will bring forward the person who he will feel as the presidential candidate on behalf of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna and other parties.
ඔබෝක කිව්වම මට මතක් වුණේ රනිල් වික්‍රමසිංහ අගමැතිතුමා ජීවිතේට බයිසිකල් පැද්දගෙන නෙවෙයිනේ. එයා කාට හරි කියලා පද්දෝ ගත්තු කෙනෙක්. ඒකට කියන්නේ පොල්ලේ දාන්න යනවා කියලා. බයිසිකලේ වෙන එක්කෙනෙක් පදිනවා. දැන් එහෙම නෙවුනේ. දැන් ආයි ආණ්ඩුවට දැන් ආපහු ජනාධිපතිවරණ එනකොට එයා පොල්ලේ ඉඳගෙන ජනාධිපතිවරණයේ විද්‍යාපේක්ෂකයන් කියන යෝජනාවලට කතා කරනවා ධම්මික පෙරේරා මහත්මයා මොරන්සේලාගේ අදහස් ඔව් ඇත්ත වශයෙන්ම කිව්වොත් එimhe පෝරුවට නගින්න එනවා නම් කුණු කරත් එකකින් ඇවිදින්න හරියන්නේ නැහැ.
This was the answer given by Minister Patali Champika Ranawaka when he was questioned whether he is to resign from the government.
The people have given us a mandate. Our ambition is to fulfill that mandate. Today we have embarked on a new project letting aside our party schisms. We have been involved in creating peace in the long term in this country in line with this project. It is that national task we fulfill here.
The minister visited the chief prelate of the Marber chapter of the Siam sect this morning and explained about the Jatika Maga project.
Sri Lanka Nidas Paksam
Yes, 11 requests in total have been presented. The Hindu committee that operates in Jaffna, we are trying to complete this quickly with the assistance of a group of former MPs.
The minister visited the chief prelate of the Askeri chapter of the Siam sect as well as the chief prelate of the Sri Ramanya sect and explained the Jatika Maga project.
Venerable Dr. Marber Thera expressed the following views last evening at the Sri Bodhiraja Dharmayathana in Ambilipitiya.
How many people burn themselves by chasing wealth? I was wondering, those who dream of presidency may not be having proper food digestion. Their pressure and cholesterol levels must be high. In that sense, imagine how tense such individuals must be. They are constantly worried whether their political associations remain fruitful to them or whether they have joined their political opponents. Remember, when we exceed the limit of temptation for worldly possessions, we all suffer. Gods in Sri Lanka are not enough for our local politicians. They are seeking power beyond gods now. They offer gold equal to their weight to gods in India. Are they offering the property and assets inherited by their parents? Why do they do this? Because they crave for power. They crave for wealth and fame. When power and wealth increases, the more they struggle. It starts with leaders and then spreads among the general public. This is what happens when you become slaves. But what happens afterwards? They speak lies instead of the truth. They speak of fiction instead of reality. Deception becomes part of them. Other nationalities have improved and developed because of our bad qualities. If there is deception in one's own house, then there will be no development. If children lie to their mother and together with their mother lie to their father, how can they develop? Honesty must start from home. Refrain from lying and stealing. This country will be more efficient if you are honest at home.
Now on to a trending international story. Experts say Apple's earnings would drop by nearly 30% if China bans its products. Newsfirst John Fernando brings you a special report from the US-China Trade War.
Two major tech companies headed by two global superpowers. The US, the Apple from US and Huawei from China. Did US merely ban Huawei because it imposed a national security threat, or it was to punish Huawei or China in the trade war? But what if China uses the same strategy and the same medicine and bans one of the major tech companies in the world? What if China bans Apple? Experts say that Apple will suffer over 30% of global sales if that happens. Designed by Apple, assembled in China.
The US-China trade war could take a big chunk out of Apple's bottom line if China retaliates by banning its products. Analyst Rod Hall said in a note that Apple earnings could drop 29% if the company's products were banned in mainland China. Apple's China business accounted for more than 17% of its sales in its fiscal second quarter, coming in at $10.22 billion. Hal also noted that China's tech ecosystem and local employment could take a hit if Apple products are banned. Most of Apple's supply chain rests in mainland China, including the iPhone's final assembly, which is executed at Foxconn.
So clearly, statistics do prove that at the end of the day, US or China both will get their share of losses. So then why the tug of war? The answer lies in simply something called 5G. 5G, not 4G, a little bit faster, but 5G could one day actually change the world, connecting millions of devices, connecting cities across the globe, and enabling doctors to perform surgeries from the other side of the world, actually 20 times faster than 4G. So here's where it all makes sense. When the US won the 4G race earlier this decade, it provided a nearly 100 billion boost to its GDP. And now, stakes for the 5G race is even higher. Now, if America wins the 5G race, it can create 1 million jobs rather, and it can approximately provide $500 billion to its GDP. Keep aside the money. Imagine one of these super world powers gets hold of 5G before one another. This world superpower who gets hold of 5G can control every single action that the whole human race does on the internet. Imagine the consequences of that. So here's the stake. Simply, right now, the best 5G provider, best provider for 5G is none other than the Chinese company Huawei. It all makes sense, right? So Huawei, not only as we know, do build smartphones, but it's a leading provider, a structure for all our communication activities. So these are the stakes, simply jobs, money, and power.
Meanwhile, the first day of a training course on ecosystem resilience in a changing climate was held in Chilao today.
The training course was jointly organized by the Ministry of Public Administration and Disaster Management and the Asian Disaster Preparedness Center. The course is financially supported by the Asia Pacific Network for Global Change Research, which is based in Japan. The event will take place until the 30th of May.
So we'll work with them to provide what is climate change, the basic concepts, what is disaster risk management, the basic concepts, and then provide a good understanding how to understand, how to identify problems in their respective sectors, let's say agriculture, and then how to analyze the problems, and then how to go for solutions. They can probably take this forward and then work with other colleagues in their respective organization or in their respective sectors.
The 192nd model village constructed in Lunugambehera Mattala under the Samata 7 Udagamana program was vested with the public today under the auspices of Minister of Housing, Construction and Cultural Affairs Sajid Premadasa.
This model village has been named At Rajagama and was constructed at a cost of 58.9 million rupees. The model village consists of 68 housing units. The minister distributed Visiri housing loans to 500 low-income families and spectacles to 45 visually impaired individuals in line with the event.
Visit these houses and tell me whether any house has been provided to my security officers or family members. I never have. I never will do something like that because I know the value of a vote and the value of the people's mandate. Have you ever come across reports that Sajid Premadasa took over any property in the Hambantota district to build a palace for the Premadasa family? Have you ever heard or seen such a thing? But remember, there was a time where properties were taken over. It is with much pride that I say we built these palaces for the poor people.
Minister Navin Disanayaka expressed the following views during an event held in Nuwara today.
Though terrorism ended 10 years ago, we must not reduce our focus and attention. The general public can criticize politicians. We will accept these criticisms most humbly. What is more important than the past and present problems of the people is to rectify this process. We will not provide any security to terrorists or those who support terrorism, let it be politicians or anyone. I clearly state that if a politician has any involvement in this regard, we must raise our hand against it.
The minister expressed these views at the opening of the Nuwara Divisional Office of the Tea Board and at the opening of Tea Outlet in Nuwara.
Minister Gamini Jayavikrama Pereira called on the chief prelate of the Askiri chapter today.
It was during this year that the real policies of Vesak were made effective. Even the Catholic community had Buddhist flags in their churches this year. That means a lot. I want to make the rest of my statements without the presence of the media. With regard to the point you brought forward initially, we cannot be very happy with the way Vesak was celebrated this year. It is true that Buddhist flags were put everywhere. However, in temples, all religious activities took place amid security operations. We cannot be very happy that we engaged in such religious activities under military security. We provided security to eradicate terrorism. We even witnessed such events in the past. As a government, it is our duty to provide security and restore the confidence of the people. All 225 MPs must understand that there must be a country to engage in politics in.
අධිකරණයේදී අධිකරණ නැමැති බන්ධනාගාරයට ගිහිල්ලා ඉතින් මේ රටේ හාමුදුරුවෝ රටට ජාතියට මොනවා හරි ආපදාවක් වෙනකොට ඉතින් හාමුදුරුවෝ කතා කරනවා ඒ ඇනකොට රටේ ජනතාව කවුරු ගැන විශ්වාසයක් තියාගන්නද ඒක මොනවා කරනවද මේ විදිහට නැකේ අධිකරණ නැමැති මොනිවැරදි ඒක කතා
And that's a wrap of Primetime News for tonight. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Dasni Athada. Good night.